Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good evening everybody. Militiaman and Crew here again. It's Monday and I hope everybody had a great weekend. We had Snowmageddon where we are. They couldn't even fix the roads this morning, so it was pretty dangerous out there for a lot of people. So hopefully everybody made it safe and everywhere around the country. Hey, just want to remind everybody that our Patreon site has a vibrant Discord chat room, and that can be found in our details. It's www.patreon.com/MMANDCREW. in Crew. Okay, so check us out. Obviously, all of our news that gets pumped into late at night on my time is from Super Samson. We have our crew members. There's Gigi and Greg that help the admins bring in people and make them feel comfortable. We have a wonderful crew: Poppy, Peter, Petra. We have our wonderful spiritual leader Brian. He's on a daily basis. On occasions, and gives us his spiritual uplifting commentary. So it's all good. Hey, again, then there's still a lot of crew members too that are with us that are somewhat quiet sometimes because they have lives just like we all do, and just know that they're there with us all anyway. So to get into this, the IQD system, we all know, is a new electronic system that's showcased again yesterday. It's been talked about for quite some time. The AMF is the entity that owns the platform. It's been around for a long time, but they basically, with Tape Sammy, I think it was yesterday, that cut the red tape, and basically officially recognizing that this new system is going to be at the borders, and it's going to be at all borders. So we're going to watch for that. Basically what it's going to have is that it'll have a significant impact in maximizing revenues by generating accurate statistics, preventing fraud and manipulation. So the border crossings with this new system is irreversible, as they say, which is a good thing. It's preparing everybody for a digital environment. And you're going to notice that this theme pretty much about tonight is going to be about digitalization to some degree, because basically this is where they're headed. They're going to a market economy, and they're going to go to a digitized economy and effectively be in line with what the IMF, the World Bank, the Bank of International Settlements, everybody's involved in this. The UN, for instance, the UNCTAD, all are involved in the digital transformation of the country of Iraq and others. Financial inclusion isn't just for Iraq, it's a global initiative. And like we've always said, it's about Iraq, but it's not all about Iraq, but it's about Iraq. Here, Prime Minister Sheikh al-Sudani, he said last night, lowering the exchange rate means giving the dollar to illegal trade. He's talking about the dollar auction. Bye-bye. That dollar auction is basically going to go away. He says that the financial situation in Iraq is at its best, and that the commercial transactions are collected through commercial institutions. He goes on, points out that they've recorded Iraqi banks, notes recorded on Iraqi banks from the U.S. Treasury are from the time of previous governments. What he's saying is that all that stuff, those notes that were being sold, the dollars that were being sold, were from previous governments. So since he took office, I think it was in October of 2022, he has made inroads. Okay, and the auctions, as we know them, are basically, like I said, going bye-bye. And what does he say? He says this was previously known as the dollar auctions. So the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Al-Alaq, basically says on this February 6th that some groups are trying to stay away from the platform for selling foreign currency in order to evade taxes or customs or the presence of illegal trade. And that's a true statement, and that's what this whole thing is all about, is al-Sudani is trying to clean up the mess, the nightmare, the corruption with these dollar auctions, and to get people onto the platform so that they can do trade that's transparent, convenient, fast, and safe and secure for everybody, not to mention increase the revenue streams for the whole country. So they're making inroads and having awesome success with that. And I think everybody should be pretty pleased. I know that I am. Here's an article that came out today. I was maybe going to leave this till a little bit later, but it's in the lineup at the moment, so I'll just stick with it. It's called The Dinar and the Dollar. Remember, al-Sudani told everybody in the past that the Iraq dinar will return to its a lofty economic value. He also goes and says that because the dinar is stronger than the dollar. So these are things that are coming back up, and this is Mohammed Rashid. He's basically talking about the national currency, which is the dinar, and he's stating that the economic world is witnessing a qualitative boom in awareness. So, okay, so a lot of people around the world are figuring this out, and that very soon it will overthrow the dollar. So the dinar is going to be stronger. Al-Sudani told us that back, I believe it was in May of 2023, and this guy here, Mohammed Rashid, is holding his feet to the fire. He goes on to say that he's in an interview on television that Iraq President Engineer Mohammed Shia al-Sudani has uttered a very important message or a phrase: keep the dinar. And through his humble vision, I bear witness that the Iraqi dinar will return to its lofty economic value. So the guy is making sounds to me like an oath that the Iraqi dinar will return to its lofty circumstances. So that's pretty powerful. He goes, this measure comes with the framework of the calls of Mr. Sudani to return the exchange rate of the dollar to what it was. And he called on all citizens not to acquire the dollar because the dinar is to be stronger. So that's al-Sudani's words, and here this gentleman brings it back out again today, which is fascinating with all we're seeing as far as the digitization of the country, the electronic platforms, the electronic borders and crossings and taxes and tariffs and customs, all that, and very, very important stuff. Another article came out today, and there's a couple of paragraphs that I'll try to get through in quick and easy, but they are a little bit lengthy. And of course, the translation makes it a little bit tough for us all, but it's the article in our Patreon forum is called Investment and Exchange Rate. And that's out today. It says, among the most important elements of investment is the state of exchange rate stability. Stability means that the price of foreign exchanges and trades with the national currency, and this stability is extremely important in an business environment. It attracts foreign investment, and the basic goal among the goals of all monetary policy constitutes monetary stability as an important element in the calculations of feasibility studies. They go on to say, especially for foreign capital, as feasibility studies for projects financed by foreign investment cannot be completed without financial stability. Because financial stability or financial feasibility takes into account the stability of the exchange rate, and that the margins of change in this price during the project establishment period and the operating period, those in charge of it seek the financial feasibility study involves knowing the margins of change in the exchange rate to determine the financial exchange rate during the life of a project, with the aim of arriving at perceptions of the equation of construction, operating costs, and revenues with the surplus value, and then making the appropriate decision regarding investment or not. So in a bottom line, in a nutshell, what are they saying? They need to know the value of the currency, they need to know how much money it's going to cost to do the projects, and they need to know what their margins are going to be. So whether the feasibility study supports a positive investment or not. It's that simple. But what do they need? They're going to need to know the exchange rate, the real effective exchange rate that's going to be defended in the marketplace, defended on the Forex, defended by the central banks. They're going to need to know that, and they're probably not going to come in unless they have it, if they haven't already got it. We're going to find this out. But he goes on to say, though, it's certain the state of monetary stability in light of digital transformation, which we've been talking about a lot lately, right? We know that Iraq is going to go through a digital transformation. And here again, it says the state of monetary stability in light of the digital transformation of banking tools exchanges, financial transactions requires great effort and work and requires sufficient time to complete these transformations in the episodes related to trading, most notably the mechanisms of the commercial system, including the financial transfer mechanism for compliance, the anti-money laundering law and financing of terrorism, I think it's number 39 of 2015, and the application of international standards and instructions related to the integrity of financial systems that mitigate the risks of the phenomenons that they are exposed to, obstacles that still constitute the largest barrier to the lack of transparency and integrity of financial operations. So basically, if they get in compliance, the latter I've just mentioned goes away. Another thing that probably goes away too is, like they said that the auctions were illegal. Effectively, they created an environment for illegal behavior, and here they call this state of monetary instability that was trying to be continued, basically was black market parasites. So they kind of describe the people that were doing the black market. And by the way, there's an article out that talks about some big names that are going to be exposed in the coming days respect to corruption. And it could very well be having relationship because they've had time to use this new system to some degree, e-government, IQD systems. They know from experience already that these systems are work and they're weeding out the corruption. So they called them the black market parasites. So I thought that was pretty funny. But the fact remains is, I guess in a sense, when you're sucking the blood off something, in which is their Iraqi revenue streams, and if there's fraud and manipulation, it should be addressed just like anywhere else in any other country. It's the way it should be. They indicate in this particular article is they indicated in their interview with the news, right, the digital economy is important. So back to digitization. Real quick, Mohammed Salim, he's a government official, participates in the Digital Economy Forum in Baghdad, and confirmed the digital economic transformation in Iraq has become a reality and is being followed up on. Yeah, since they're going to be following up on all that stuff, obviously the government steps that they're moving forward to is being launched. It's going to be all related to the projects, et cetera, that they're going to be dealing with throughout the year. And they're going to need to figure out what the dollar-dinar rate is to make sure that they have the stability that they're going to be talking about. Another article, automation of government departments is an urgent national requirement. Okay, so we already know that the electronic governance is real. There's a portal for it. It says this system is to be implemented in departments, bodies such as border crossings, customs and taxation, which will save the state treasury huge sums of money, estimated by the semi-official bodies at about $12 billion annually, while official authorities estimated at about $7 billion. Okay, real close. So what is that? Electronic borders crossings, that's the IQD system. That's pretty, it's not saying that, but that's what that's going to be about. It says that the process of automating border crossings and custom points will completely cover the country's annual imports. With these digital systems and procedures, by controlling the country's air and land border and customs ports, it says, and the sea to which imports of various goods and merchandise flow, whose annual value touches approximately $60 billion a year on average. Basically, undoubtedly, it will provide the country with several benefits. I can think of several benefits in revenue streams, how that's going to work for everybody. It's going to be a lot of money, you guys. It's going to be fascinating, and we all know that as we can see this, is that they're not stopping. We just don't have a date or rate, but we can see that the progress is before us. It says that their achievements will be ultimately be credited to Al-Sudani because of the fact that he's been involved with this since he jumped onto the bandwagon, which was back in October of 2022, and the Ministerial Council of Economics got started, and all you have seen is progress. Is it painfully slow, it seems like? Of course, yeah, a lot of people in need, and I pray for everybody in need. The bottom line is that all we can do is just report what we're hearing and do the best that we can to figure out where are they and what's it mean. It looks like the achievements from Al Sudani, as far as I'm concerned, for the last 15 months has been amazing. The digital transformation before us that we're seeing coming together to state institutions, the border crossings, the payment systems, all of which need to be in place for this new system to work, to be interlinked with the international financial system. I think you guys can all, everybody, guys, gals, can see and hear that that's going to be a reality that is beneficial for everybody. The income streams, the growth rate of the financial sector, the banking sector, the private sector, the stability that we're seeing, everybody's talking about stability. We have the IBBC talking about it today. All the different countries that are coming in feel confident that they have unprecedented stability, I guess unheard of in the last 20 years, at least, okay? So that's powerful stuff that we have there. Again, the Prime Minister's office is stating that if there had been automation in taxes, the theft of the century would not have occurred. So basically, they pretty much probably analyzed this enough to know that the information that they have, because of the new system they've put into place, is going to weed that out. So anybody that's going to play or try and do shenanigans like they did with the crime of the century, I think they got something coming to them. He says that we've begun setting priorities, including combating corruption, providing services and financial and economic reforms, in addition to the issue of youth and providing special opportunities for them, in addition to working to send students on scholarship. This year we will send nearly 1,000 students out into the world. And what are they going to be doing? They're going to be using the digital transformation. What's it called? I'll figure out the name of the software program, but they have a program that has been involved since last year, I believe, or more, because of the nature of the circumstances that they needed to provide a service, go to the public, and get them to say, how do we fix this corruption at these borders, and how do we get kids to our youth to be able to understand and be those eyes and ears for the country into the future. And that's what they're talking about here. He points out that there has been an automation in taxes. The theft of the century would not have occurred, especially since we have taken these steps in digital transformation, once again, such as issuing passports and visas and on and on. But the bottom line is that they have the students. They even go so far as to say that they have a professional higher diploma study service in specializations related to anti-corruption, and that's what these 1,000 students are basically looking to do. And here it is that the article is basically the National Data Center launches the electronic application service for studying for higher diploma in anti-corruption. So the younger youth are going to have the ability to help those revenue streams grow and to benefit each and every one of the citizens, and by right they should. It'd be nice to see that in the United States. If we could have our public lands and our people benefit from one of the largest oil pools in the world, in our Balkans, Wyoming, east of Idaho, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, all that oil out there on public lands. These guys are going to be sharing their oil wealth. I don't see why the United States doesn't tap into that stuff. Not to mention the subbituminous coal that's up there in Alaska, all that oil wealth that can be made clean energy. That's what they talked about. Yeah, we know all about that. And it looks like it's been forgotten about over the last few years, but we'll see what happens. It goes on to say that the Ministry of Finance discusses supporting the work of Accountability and Justice Commission. So Tape Sammy, she's working with the justice system. They've been talking about the corruption. And who is this? Wally, what are you doing? There you go. Okay, buddy. Oh, sorry, you guys. He's bored. There he goes. Ministry of Finance discusses supporting the work of the Accountability Justice Department. They've had their meetings. We go back to even a little further in today. So if you notice some of the photographs, Tafe Sammy was busy with a lot of people in a specific office, and you could tell by the flags and the color of her suit. So she was quite present today. The Ministry of Finance stresses the importance of strengthening consultation and dialogue mechanisms between Iraq and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Well, we already know they have a relationship with them, but here they are again today, March 4th. They're talking about who Tafe Sammy stresses the importance of strengthening consultation and dialogue mechanisms between Iraq, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development in finance promising projects in the country. So obviously they're not stopping what they were doing. It has no real bearing on anything that's been going on, other than the fact is that they're gearing to move Iraq to the private sector and to open up to the world. It says here that during their meeting, the bank's representative, the minister, indicated the government's keenness to provide the necessary legislative guarantees and appropriate climate in order to attract foreign investments and motivate Iraq's partners to finance various projects that contribute to improving growth rates and advancing development road projects, sustainable development, all of these different names, digital transformation, they're all buzzwords, all used by all the three-letter agencies, financial entities, the largest in the world, and Iraq is moving on all of this. They were basically, the multiple meetings that they held discussed the institutional financing for those concrete projects in Iraq. Trust me, not only are they concrete, solid, there's going to be a lot of concrete building going on. And guess what? Who invested in concrete company? I think it was the ITC or IFC and the World Bank. I think it's the latter, IFC. Anyway, don't quote me on it. We have an article on it. You can figure that one out. But the bottom line is the World Bank shows that they're interested in being in Iraq. For all intents and purposes, they're putting their money where their mouth is. They believe that there's going to be money to make, and there's going to be a lot of it. This gentleman by the name of Mr. Al-Hakim to the French ambassador, basically stating the stability in Iraq is unprecedented, and it is very important for the region, no doubt. Obviously, there's problems going on in different places around the region, but hopefully, because of Iraq's unprecedented security and stability at this stage of the game, it should be beneficial for everybody. He says the head of the National State Forces Alliance, Mr. Ammar al-Hakim, stressed to the the French ambassador to Iraq the importance of Iraq's stability. It's huge for the region. The developments in the political scene in Iraq and the region and bilateral relations between Baghdad and Paris basically good. Iraq is experiencing an unprecedented state of stability, which requires everyone to work to strengthen it even more and transform it into a permanent stability accompanied by development and reconstruction. That reconstruction is going to be about what? Development, sustainable development. What do you need? You need security and stability, sustainable exchange rate. So a strong one. The stability of Iraq is important for the stability of the region, and this is what experiences have proven. Basically, as they're stating that ISIS effectively within Iraq, not to say they can't come back, are basically taken care of so far. Obviously, it's going to be a key concern going forward with the strategic framework agreement that I think al-Sudani is scheduled to go to early next month, and that'll be something down the road. But here again, the Ministry of Finance, she comes out and says Iraq is what? Moves towards digital transformation and the use of electronic systems. So what does she say? The meeting emphasized the continuation of efforts and capabilities to implement the recommendations of the Council of Ministers within the framework of the government to develop financial and banking performance and move towards automation, digital transformation, and the use of modern electronic systems to ensure the advancement of the work reality to provide the best services to the citizens. I think everybody probably notices that he's been awfully quiet for this last year, and I think it's because al-Sudani is making inroads, and al-Sadr is very aware of it, which is a good thing. Here it says back in November, Iraq and the Anti-Corruption Academy launches Lazarfish, a digital transformation milestone against corruption. This is where they got started for the students. Okay, so I should have probably brought this in a little bit earlier, but the truth is, we know that what they said and they're doing is to take care of the financial transformation. And basically, there's an anti-corruption academy called the IACA. And who's it under? It's under the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP. So obviously, all of this anti-corruption stuff, and it's in the news, and they're talking about the crime of the century. You can bet your sweet bippy, if that's a term anymore, that this is all part of it. He goes on to say the Central Bank of Iraq prefers to use cash. Iraq society prefers to use cash in daily transactions. However, I think that's going to change, or has been changing for quite some time. It says here that the use of the, Amar Hamad, Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, stating that the central bank announced this today, the use of the best internationally approved systems and standards in the field of electronic payments, while indicating that it spends hundreds of millions of dollars annually to develop infrastructure systems to build an important base for the development of electronic payment in Iraq. So obviously you can tell by that there's some past tense involved in that. So they've already spent hundreds of millions of dollars building the infrastructure. So this isn't just starting tomorrow. Deputy Governor says in a speech at the first Digital Economy Forum, so this is a Digital Economy Forum, the first one, says the digital financial transformation in Iraq began with the localization of state employee salaries and the opening of bank accounts, the primary purpose of which is to use electronic payments in daily transactions, whether inside or outside of Iraq. That's cross-border payments, everybody. Khalaf says that Iraqi society prefers to rely on the cash daily transactions, but the government's efforts to support digital transformation, especially in the financial sector and other sectors, gave strong impetus to the central bank over the past year. Again, that's on al-Sudani's watch. Continues to encourage and activate electronic payments by Iraq, issuing many among the laws. So they have laws taken care of, controls in place, instructions that go with it that encourage the use of electronic payments in Iraq. So the central bank has been the only influence for many years, as it has been embraced the importance of digital transformation in most of their transactions, spends those hundreds of millions of dollars annually to develop infrastructure systems to build important bases for developing electronic payments in Iraq through the use of the best internationally approved systems and standards in this field. So you can obviously see that there's been a lot of work going on. This just didn't get started. And above all, the world's largest entities are totally in support for Iraq's digital transformation. And they have a very good, we talked about this in the video prior or preceding this one, about the IMF made a statement during on the 29th, supposedly the last day of the WTO, but which was extended for a day to no avail specifically about Iraq. But the bottom line was the IMF gave a very good report. Very good report. To me, it was a perfect report. But in here, they have the staff concluded a statement of the 2024 IMF Article 4 mission. And some of the comments, I'm just going to read a couple and I'll be done. Reducing oil dependence and ensuring fiscal sustainability, killer word there again, while protecting critical social and investment spending will require a significant fiscal adjustment. I'm going to figure out, well, what's that significant fiscal adjustment? But they're focusing on controlling the public wage bill and increasing non-oil revenues, non-oil tax revenues. And they go on to say that their inflation declined, their headline inflation declined from 7.5% in January 2023 to 4% by the end of the year. That's almost 100% decrease in inflation. Powerful, okay? That is not LOP scenario. They go on to say that they've also increased their foreign reserves to 112 billion US dollars. Later on, they talk about the authorities should also seek to increase non-oil revenues by broadening the personal income tax base and making it more progressive, reviewing the customs tariff structure, and considering new taxes on luxury items in parallel to efforts to make revenue customs administration more efficient should continue. Further savings could be obtained through better targeting social support and increasing cost recovery within the electricity sector. These adjustment measures should provide room for expansion of the targeted social safety net. So basically what they're wanting to do is to create other streams of investment, which we all know they've been working on, ready to go, underway. Also states that the IMF technical assistance should continue, so they got the support. Remember, we talked about the UN support, the ITC support, all the World Bank support. Yeah, again, with the IMF, you can see where they're heading up. And what do they say? Speed up the digitalization of the economy. That's what the IMF says. Why? Well, because it's urgently needed. They use words like that. So when these largest entities on the planet use big words like that, or important, strategically placed words, I pay attention to it. It's phenomenal. It's fascinating. So anyway, aside from that, we went over about 10 different bits and pieces. I think everybody gets the picture that this show is still on the road, and it looks really, really good. So enjoy. I hope everybody have a good evening, and thank you so much for all your support. It's very much appreciated. Have a great afternoon. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content, subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.